Paragraph 27 of the Catechism of the Catholic Church talks about the desire for God being written on the human heart. I was praying with this section recently, and the thing that was really striking to me was towards the end of the paragraph where it says, God never ceases to draw man to himself. Think of these stories of many of the great saints where they were wandering on their way. Maybe they had sort of left the church for a while, or they were kind of doing their own thing. I think of people like St. Augustine, whose feast day we celebrated in August, thinking about his little trip to a cult called Manichaeism, thinking about all of the many things that he had done. Even still, in all of that wandering, the Lord never failed to draw him to himself. He was drawing on Augustine's heart, and he's drawing on yours and mine as well. Every once in a while, I sit with this notion of the empty chair in the room. The empty chair. That person who could have been here, we may not even necessarily know who, but they're not. They're not here. And there's something about that is kind of sobering. Even as I say that, I would imagine those of you listening will hear that and say, that's a bummer. And it is. It is a bummer. Because there's a sense where somebody should be here and they aren't. Maybe there are some of you listening that have a family member that have left the church. Maybe you have come to the church that you were not previously a part of, but the rest of your family still hasn't. Maybe your friends don't understand your faith and they sort of are either kind of lackadaisical with it all, or maybe they're still kind of wandering far from the Lord. I think that there are many people that come to mind when I say this. There's an empty chair. There's an empty seat. And if those of you listening, maybe this applies to you, that seat, that chair, that's for you. Because the reality is, the body of Christ is lacking without you. The body of Christ is lacking without you. There's an empty seat, there's an empty place at the table for you. God never ceases to draw on the heart of man because our hearts were made for him. As St. Augustine said, our heart is restless until it rests in you. It's restless. I think that's a feeling in our current day and age, in our current society, that probably all of us know pretty well. That feeling of restlessness, maybe that sense of anxiety, that sense of loss or depression. There's a desire that's not being met there. And it's a desire for God. There's a God-sized hole in your heart and in mine. And nothing could possibly fill it except for him. So for those of you that are still wandering far from his face, know that he is still seeking you out day and night, drawing you to his heart. And that every desire that you have will be met in his heart. And those of you that know somebody that maybe they're missing, don't be afraid. Take heart. Be courageous. Reach out to them. Invite them back. Maybe the clearest entry point isn't Mass. Okay, invite them back to something at the parish. Invite them to come pray with you. If the time's right, maybe they're willing and there's an openness, invite them to confession. Invite them to Mass. Invite them to a night of adoration. The Lord is still drawing on your heart and on mine. He never ceases. There's not a point where we're suddenly done. He's drawing you and he's drawing me to that mysterious encounter known as prayer. Let's meet him there today. Stop your wandering. Come back. The Lord is waiting for you. God bless you.